We'll now talk about some basic concepts in thermal physics. We'll introduce some variables and we'll look at some basic relationships. This will be brief because we will have discussed this in our synchronous class session when we met on Monday. So, temperature scales. One of the things that we want to have about our temperature scales is that the temperature scales based on properties of the universe relate as closely as possible to the old practical temperature scales that were developed using the physical properties of other materials. And one of the ideas that we use is the triple point of water. This is a point where the three phases of water, ice, water vapor, and liquid can coexist in equilibrium. The temperature is called the triple point and is 273.16 kelvins. What we want to do is we want to make a Kelvin unit and a Celsius unit the same size, and by taking the fraction in the slide we can do that, and that means that the freezing point of water is then 0 Celsius, the boiling point is 99.975 Celsius, and the triple point is 0.01 Celsius, and it gives absolute zero as minus 273.15. Notice that in most cases we'll ignore the point at 15 and just use minus 273. So that's a point that we use to fix our temperature scales. Let's think about Fahrenheit and Celsius. Here are the basic equations that relate Fahrenheit to Celsius, and sometimes you'll have need to use those. We'll actually define temperature properly a few chapters into the book, but for now we'll work with a simple definition. And the simple definition is going to be temperature is what you measure with a thermometer. This is an operational definition. We'll use several throughout the course of the class, but we'll ultimately make some use of some more advanced ideas to really learn what temperature is. So one of the things that we work with, or one of the common ideas, is if you put two objects in contact, they'll ultimately come to a common temperature, and that leads to the development of what we call the zeroth law of thermodynamics. We also need to learn what equilibrium is. So formally, we can say if we place two objects in contact, energy will flow from one to the other until the temperature equalizes. We call that flow of energy heat, and when the heat ceases to flow, we say the objects are in thermal equilibrium. So what that means is that another way of defining temperature is to say it's a thing that's the same for two objects if they've been in contact with each other for a long time. So that ends the basic preliminaries about the concepts we're going to be talking about.